I'm going to start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Panels of educators. Closing government will make a clearer path on what this debate should be and put a new perspective about the corruption and its relation with the society as a whole, and why impoverish is the best way to deter corruption cases and deals with the effects of the corruption cases in itself. A few rebuttals for the opening government and then the opening opposition. The opening government did not specify what kind of assets that the corruption are procuring. In our side of the house, we're going to give a limitation about the assets and itself later on. They also talk to you about that impoverish is a hard punishment. We disagree with this, right? Because this argument make them look like they are against the motion. For us, impoverishing them is not a hard punishment, but it is a responsibility of the state to do it, right? Also, we are going to talk about how opening opposition tells you that impoverishing corruptors, it is immoral and it is against the human rights. We disagree. Why? Because what we are going to take away from them is their resources, is their physical assets, not their life, not their hand. I mean, like, let's say not their rights to take care of their child, even they are going to prison and so on and so forth. And there also talks to you about that it is totally unjust and it is given the burden to the state. We disagree. Why? Because the state have the responsibility to take care of the criminal justice system. Therefore, it is the responsibility of states to take care of the criminal activity, whether that is corruptors, whether it is murder, and so on and so forth. So, in the opening debate, we see how they are talking about, first of all, about moral, what are the morality of the impoverishing them. Secondly, they are talking about deterrence, which one is better, impoverishing them or giving another punishment. And also, what the opening debate lacks is they did not give a real corruption cases in the society, which in our opinion are very, very important. They also fail to understand give understanding of the criminal justice system. So first of all, let us see what are the criminal justice system and what are the purpose of it. We are talking to you, when people are committed wrong acts, they need to get punishment. But not only get the punishment, it's not enough. They need the effects of the criminal acts has to be lowered. Therefore, we believe that our side is better. Let us see the status quo. Although we already have a system that fight corruption, such as the Indonesian Corruption Board, the law also the law enforcement, corruption still rises in the society. Secondly, the numbers of corruptors are increasing even in the dynastical political family. And thirdly, the asset of corruptor is increasing even after when they get the sentence, due to, for example, when they go to prison, they still have stocks and they still have cryptocurrency, and when they get out of the jail, the prices of the stock get high. Therefore, when they enter back to the society, they still get very, very rich. And also, the most important thing is that corruptors who already given the verdict that they are corrupt, they still bribe law enforcement officers, such as the jail head of the jail, such as to get a luxury prison, such as Satya Novanto, in the case of Satya Novanto, for example. So let us give a definition on what impoverished in our side means. We means that we are going to take all the assets prior the verdict from the judge. Secondly, corruptors. Corruptors are usually people in power, whether that's civil servant, elected officials, or even the corporation, for example, who committed unlawful act, and this benefits the society. We are going to give you also the most important is the assets. For us, assets means like such as stocks, gold, valuable assets, whether that they own it in the national home country and also abroad. So let's give the three important questions. Why impoverish them will give a deterrence effect other than any punishment? Why impoverish them will benefit the vulnerable actors, including law enforcement? Why impoverish them is a better and effective, easier method of punishment? Who are all the actors? The common people and the sense of morality, the law enforcement, and also the corruptors, whether they are rich or came from a normal background, such as AOC and Ilhan Omar. So, for mechanization. One, we will make a policy that will take all the assets, whether they procure it in foreign and home country, that are procured before and during the judge decision that this person is guilty of corruption. Secondly, the law enforcement, whether the KPK or the court, will have the responsibility to procure these assets, and fourthly, the assets will be put in the state budget for to be used in important things such as law enforcement and so on and so forth. Come to the first argument. It will shut corruptors from important resources because their important resources will be gone. Therefore, they cannot use it for another important things. For example, Satya Novanto will not have the resources to pay for or to bribe the head of the jail to get luxury jail. Therefore, there will be no other instances such as this. Come to my fourth argument. It will make corruptors lose. It will avoid corruptors to bribe law enforcement officers and also other parties because they don't have any money left to spend. So, for example, corruptors who went to jail, they cannot bribe or they cannot pay for extra services, even let's say getting prostitution inside the jail and so on and so forth. Therefore, it will avoid them. Come to my next argument, we talk about politics. And that argument is that it will make corruptors lose its high status in the society and its political party. The reason for that, because usually corruptors who are rich still get an important place in the party or society because he still have the money to influence political decisions. For example, Ratu Atut, who got a decision that she's still corrupt, their sons, her son, her family can actually still get high position in the society because of the name of Ratu Atut. So we think that it will not happen in our side of the house because Ratu Atut in our side of the house will not have money left to spend, and therefore it will lose the high status in the society and its political party. Come to our last argument, and the more important, it will integrate the money back from the people for important resources. When we talk about important resources, it's not just exclusive to healthcare because the money being used will be used for the people and also fix the corrupt system itself as a whole. We will give money, let's say, for the law enforcement officer for strengthening our criminal justice system. Therefore, by empowering corruptor, it will improve the overall condition and the ecosystem of the law, the criminal justice system. Secondly, the sense of morality, the people, and the fourthly, and also the political system as a whole. Therefore, it will make a structural change, and therefore the sons and their daughters will not actually get corrupt again. Thank you.
Okay, I will start my speech. In 3, 2, 1. Okay, honorary judges, before I give my full conclusion, I will give some of the rebuttal that my first speaker did not manage to rebut. Okay, from the opening government, we can see the deterrence. They said that the deterrence didn't repeat the action. Okay. But in here, we have to, the opening government did not explain or elaborate more how effective this deterrence is going to be, okay? And then, they tell about rehabilitate and become normal people. Honorable judges, we have to remember that a lot of politicians that are corrupt came from a small people, okay? And then, the next argument that opening government talk about is they give an example about gambling. Honorable judges, with all due respect, using gambling as an example is a very fatal example because gambling and corruption is a whole different thing. Okay, and then next, I will give my rebut to the opening opposition. The opening opposition give argument about corruptors' human rights. In here, the opening opposition is completely abandoned the corruption's victims' human right. They did not give any explanation or any detail about the victims' human right itself. And then the next argument that they give is a criminal justice system. Okay, the criminal justice system is actually already fair, but why is it still easy for politicians to do corruption? It's because they got trust from the civilian that choose them to work in the government. This is the one that is opening opposition failed to explain, and this make the opening opposition give a fatal argument. And then another argument is a proportional punishment. Okay, they talk about proportional punishment, but what if they buy assets from the money they get from the corruption? They said that when the corruptor take $3 million, the government have to take the same amount of the things that they corrupt, which is they forgot about all the assets that they buy using the things they corrupt. Okay, and then the next argument is family. They talk about that if we decide to impoverish the corruptor, it will impact the family. But from the closing government, from us, this is why impoverish give more impact. Because if someone decide to do a corruption, they will remember that what they do will affect their family. And then the next argument they opening opposition give is consequences about found out. In this argument, they did not give any explanation and what does they mean with the consequences of found out. We have to remember that we still lack mentality to realize how damaging the corruption is. And then the next argument is about rehabilitation can work. They did not, honorable judges, opening opposition did not explain what kind of rehabilitation that they use. Where they get this fund for the rehabilitation and what the impact of the rehabilitation itself. And then the last argument that I will rebut is the corruptor steal from the state. Corruptor also receive kickbacks from the corporation. Okay, and then I will come into my full conclusion. And with my conclusion, I will give you a reason why closing government is worthy to win this debate. First, we have three important questions that first speaker from our closing government already explained it. We already elaborated. And then the second one, the opening government did not specify the assets that they will confiscate, but we from the closing government already explained what asset that should be confiscated. And the opening opposition did not tackle this argument. So with this, our closing government already tackled this problem very beautifully. And then the third one, both sides of the house did not explain what kind of deterrence that will have. Meanwhile, our speaker from the closing government already explained it sophisticatedly. And then the fourth one is both sides of the house also did not pay an equal attention to the vulnerable actors. But from our first speaker from the closing government already tackled the problem down. He already explained it. We already tell you why this vulnerable actor also important in this motion. The fifth one is our side of house gave an argument that is actually will benefit every actor in this motion. Either it's from the law enforcement, the one who will learn about the law itself, and the one that become the victims from the corruption in which both sides of the opening houses are failed to give an explanation. The sixth one is the opening government actually give a very fatal example about gambling, just like what I did in my rebuttal. Because gambling happen when you have money, but corruption happen when you have power. So from my conclusion of the example, when opening government bring gambling as their example, it's actually crash with the motion that they have to support. And then the seventh one is that the opening opposition also make a fatal decision with keep trying to give corruptors their human right. We in here debating this motion is actually to find the middle ground between human rights centric law enforcement and also will give deter effect and will minimize the effect of corruption that rise in the middle of society. The opening opposition failed to give us this mechanism that will help us to find the middle ground. And the eighth one is that from the both sides of the house did not give us any clear mechanism that will help us in this motion. Meanwhile, from our side of the house, we already gave a very detailed and explained the mechanism very beautifully. So to remind it again, I will highlight our argument first. It will shut the corruptor from improvised resources. Second, it will avoid corruptors to bribe law enforcement officer and also other parties. The third argument, it will make corruptor lose its high status in the society and its political party. And the fourth one, it will integrate the money back from the people from the impoverished resources. And then the last one is our mechanism. I will remember you again our three mechanisms. The first, we will make a policy that will take the assets that are procedured before and during the just decision. And then the second one, the law enforcement, whether KBK, the court, etc., will have responsibility to procedure this asset. And the third one, the assets will be put in the state budget and be used for impoverished things such as law enforcement, etc. So, with this, we from the closed government are very proud to support this motion. Thank you very much.